Hey everyone, it's CL and today is April 5th and I wanted to update my reader's vlog. As you can see, I'm in a different location because I am working on making dinner for my family. And I wanted to switch up my view for you all because 95% of the time I'm filming at my desk and that can be pretty boring to watch. So I've read 3 books so far and I'm going to start with the first one. I read Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. That is a Cinderella retelling where a girl named Ella, she is blessed with this unwanted gift that she has to be obedient when people give her an order. So no matter what they tell her to do, she has to do it. And I will have to say that I really like this book. It was recommended by Giselle Bradley. If you don't watch her channel, I'm going to link it below. She does like a full-on review of this book, which is pretty great. And what I like so much about it, it really breaks like the Disney mold that it was different. She's such like a strong and witty character. And it's not one of those situations where she just meets the prince and falls in love. There's like more depth to it, and that I really enjoyed. I gave this book 4 stars. I highly recommend it if you want something light and something where the female character is pretty witty. So yeah, on to my second book that I read this month so far. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my computer. The second book that I read is To Heaven and Back, The True Story of a Doctor's Extraordinary Walk with God, and that is by Mary C. Neal. And that book is about a true story that Mary had about her near-death experience. She gets in like a kayak accident and drowns, and then she dies for a moment and gets a glimpse of the other side. Now, I am very much interested in those types of stories. I like paranormal things. I like near-death experiences. And for this book, I gave it 3.5 stars, and I want to say I'm even being a little bit generous. I guess the problem for me was that when you read a book about a near-death experience, you kind of want to learn like what's on the other side. I wanted her to be very detailed, like what she saw, every little detail that she could, like if she's seen angels, what did they look like, did they have wings, what color were they. I just wanted to know more. And then as far as heaven and angels and that sort of things, as far as her explanation, it was very, very brief and very unsatisfying. She mostly talked about her life in the book, about how it was before she had this experience and how it is after, now that she has gone through this experience. So in that sense, I was a little bit disappointed. I gave it 3.5 stars. I am being a little bit generous. So the next book that I read so far is The Nightmares by Dan Pawlowski. And this book is about a guy named Timothy who has to partner with this new girl in class, which is Abigail. And at first she's very like standoffish. She doesn't want to get to know him and she thinks everybody's making fun of her. But some things start to happen. He starts to like see things out of the corner of his eyes. Weird stuff starts to happen. And the more he has to interact with Abigail, like they soon become friends. And he like gets closer to her to the point where she tells him a story about how at the old place she lived at, she had the nightmares, and she goes into detail like what they did and what happened with the incidents that would happen with her back when she lived at this other place. So I gave this book, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. To be honest, the scariest part of this book was the cover. I didn't find the book itself very scary, and I am afraid of everything. I guess it just wasn't scary, and I think what disappointed me the most was that the book kind of used the same formula that's been used over and over again. Like the way they presented it, like seeing stuff out of the corner of your eye, weird stuff happening, stuff like that. That all scary books do that, and I guess I wanted something new, and in that sense I wasn't really impressed. I wasn't scared at all. I read this book in a day and I was just like, huh. It didn't really leave a lasting impression, but it was good enough to where I wanted to see what was going to happen from beginning to end. So yeah, The Nightmares, 3.5 stars. That's it for right now, and I'll keep you posted as my month continues. Hey everyone, it is April 27th. I feel like I haven't updated my reader's vlog in quite a while, so I am going to catch up on the things that I have completed reading, as well as how my month went in general and what things I'm currently working on. So yeah. So one of the books that I read this month is The Family Law by Benjamin Law. And this book contains real life stories of Benjamin and his eccentric family, his life growing up, and kind of like his family dynamics. Now, I read the reviews for this book and it said it was funny, hilarious, all positive things. And when I read the book, to be quite honest, I didn't really like it. I gave it 2 stars. It didn't feel like anything special. Yes, he discusses like his family, and I know it was packaged as an eccentric family, but honestly, it didn't feel very special. They didn't feel extraordinary. There weren't any stories in particular that he told that were funny or interesting. A lot of the story, 95% of it, was very bland. It didn't really hold my interest. Like, why should I care? Why should I care about these stories that you're telling me? They're not interesting. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. It wasn't to the point where it grabbed me. We all have family stories, we all have family inside jokes, but when you read it as an outsider, it was not attention grabbing. And one thing I didn't like about the book is that I know he tried to categorize things, and when you read the book, if you read the book, you will know what I mean by that, but it jumped around in timeline. Like, he'll start off telling stories when he's an adult, and then the next story will jump back to when he was a child, and then it will jump to this point in life, and it's very back and forth as far as timeline, and I did not like that. So with that, I do have to say, out of the entire book, there was one sentence that made me laugh, and that was when the kids were complaining about how hot it was. The mom goes on to explain how hot it was in her country, and she described it as boobs being poached in sweat, shriveled up like pork fillets. And I thought that part was funny, but other than that, there was no funny parts, and I didn't like it. Very lackluster, 2 stars. So the next book that I read is Salt, Sugar, Fat, How the Food Giants Hooked Us, and this book is about the big food giants like fast food and processed food, that they dedicate studies on what the consumer likes, like as far as packaging, not only packaging, but like taste, what taste people are more drawn to, what they can add into their food to make people come back for more often, to be addicted. And sugar was one of the big things, that they add more sugar and people tend to keep coming back for more, and the children in studies tend to pick that one more when there's more sugar in it. So that sort of thing. And this book has been out for a while, but for me, I ended up giving this book 3 stars because in some ways I feel very desensitized to the information because it's not new information to me. I already knew that companies spend money to find out, to get their consumers to come back for more. I already knew that. That wasn't anything new. And I knew already that food can be addicting, like Oreos. Oreos are addicting. I think I read an article about Oreos and how addicting they are. So in that sense, I was very desensitized to the information. I think it's a good book if you are totally oblivious to the fact that companies do this. But in the same sense, for me, I'm like, are we really surprised that companies do this research? I mean, that's kind of how businesses are, right? They want to see how they can make more money. They want to see what the consumer likes. That is just kind of business. I hate to say that, but that's business. I wouldn't expect anything less from businessmen. And it's not just food that these big businesses spend money on, as far as research is concerned. I mean, I watched a special on Costco not too long ago, and they have a whole scientist dedicated to testing their toilet paper. And let me just tell you that that is money well spent, because Costco toilet paper is amazing. Do they care about the consumer? Not really. They're in it to make money, and that's not just big food giants. That is health insurance companies. That is every company that you can possibly think of. They are in it to make money. That's unfortunate, but that's just the truth. So, and I felt like the book went on too long. Like, I got halfway through and the message was already received. Like, I understood it. You didn't need to keep dragging it out longer and longer and longer. I got the point. So in the end, 3 stars. If you're not informed, check out the book. But by this point, I mean, there are a lot of studies have been done. There's a lot of information out on the internet. You shouldn't be surprised. So those are the books that I finished reading through entirety. I am working on a few books. Oh, and by the way, I did participate in TBR Takedown. I am not going to post the books that I read in this video because I already did a separate video on that. If you are interested to see what I read, please check out the link below, which takes you to that video. The books that I'm currently working on, I am still working on Velveteen. Started this during TBR Takedown, and I'm not making very fast progress on it, but I'm determined to finish it next month. I am also reading Odd and the Frost Giants. This is a very short book, and I am trying to get through my 2015 TBR, most of the books, because I feel that itch to buy more books. Like I look at the books that I have and nothing is really grabbing me. Like I want to go book shopping. I know that sounds terrible, but it just feels like it's time. I haven't bought like a mass load of books in quite a while, and I feel like it's getting to be that time where I need to like refresh my stock. I'm also reading The One and Only Ivan. I'm reading that as an ebook. I didn't finish it in time and Overdrive took it back, so I requested for it to be on, it's on hold right now, but I requested to be in line to check out that book once again. And it's really good. It's a really good book, but I'm not gonna lie, it's a little depressing. Like, I think that's why I didn't, it's an easy read, but I didn't get through it quickly because every time I picked it up, I kind of felt really sad. So that book I'm still working on. I want to see how it ends. So I will continue it once that becomes available to me. And I hope I can get my hands on that book sometime next month. I am second in line, so. Other than that, that is how my month went. It is the 27th, but I don't anticipate that I'm going to finish any more books this month. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this month. This is what I read. I hope you all had a wonderful reading month. Please let me know what you plan on reading next month in the comments down below. And other than that, I will see you later. So thank you all for watching.